We're live. We're going to talk about, it might get political, but maybe not. And not in the way that you think. Or I'm not going to tell you which way to vote. I'm not going to tell you just what I witness, right? What I'm saying. And then also, man, it's a beautiful morning. It's a perfect November morning, right? Southbound, what's up? Flatbed. All right, people coming in here right off the bat. It's weird, this live stream, like, it shows 0 people in here, right? But I don't know. A lot of times I don't believe those numbers. But I don't think it's, there's the notification. So it takes a minute. I don't have an intro video. So, but yeah, it's kind of a little bit of signal issue, I guess. But yeah. Dar, what's up, man? What's up, chick? It's a perfect morning out here, and then like this won't be like a long live feed. I know I've said that in the past, but there's what they call a neighborhood cleanup where you can bring a bunch of trash, and we have, like, I've got a couple of disabled office chairs, and I've got some electronic stuff like a bad microwave, and you like my hat? Isn't that cool? Um, and um, some old Christmas decorations I need to get rid of. So, I mean, and then we have what we call the apnea box. And you're like, well, what's the apnea box? If you follow me on Instagram, on Snorelord, you'll see that I posted this picture of this huge box. It's like huge. And it says apnea on it. And what it was one of our roadie friends made it. And it was designed to hold all the drum hardware and the cords and everything, like all at once. And we used it one time because it was too heavy to lug around. And it took up the whole space of the pickup truck. So it's been used as storage for the last, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years. And so when I was cleaning out the garage, I finally emptied it out, and it's out in the front yard, and we got to get that because nobody wants it, and we've got to dump it, and I really don't want to, have to drive 30 miles and spend $15 to dump it. So these people will take it, no problem. Almost 8 a.m. here and still dark. Sunrise is until 8:30. Well, that will change. That will change soon. Well, I don't know. Do you Canadians, you probably, do you guys get into that daylight savings time crap? I forgot about that. You're here for it, Cobra King. So I have a few things on my mind, and that's what, oh, by the way, I've got my coffee. You can go to my merch store and get an awesome looking mug or whatever, Um, I'm I don't know. This election process is going to be interesting. The next 2 or 3 days, I've got my eyes out for any kind of black swan event. Tomorrow we go back in time. Yes. If you don't set your clocks back, you'll be early at everything. In the truck driving world, it messes with people's ELDs. So there's that. So I'll probably have at least 1 or 2 drivers Monday morning call me, dude, I don't know what happened. I don't know why I'm in violation, whatever. So, but on a scale of 1 to 5, how stinky are your feet right now? 1. Because the way I eat, and believe it or not, so if you go, so Cobra, I know you're just trolling me, but here's the deal, dude, or dudette, or whatever you might call yourself. I did a 40-day carnivore diet challenge, and so I'm a meat eater. And what I have found is that my body odor has gone down. right? So my underarms aren't as stinky. I don't have to use as much deodorant. My breath doesn't stink as much, I don't think, except in the morning, which we all stink in the morning. And then my feet, when I take my socks off or my shoes off, it doesn't stink up the house like it used to. So there you go. So, and then your other comment, here's the deal. There's over, oh, let me ask Google here. How many YouTube videos are there right now on YouTube? There's approximately 14 billion videos on YouTube right now, and you're watching this one. So that is awesome that out of 14 billion people, you're choosing to watch this one. And so I'm either mesmerizing, or I do something for you, or you're just an extremely, extremely lucky person. You should go play the lottery. I mean, a 1 in 14 billion chance that you're here blessing us. That's awesome. So there you go. Bull of Woods, what's up? Tyrone says you've been driving. Okay, let me go back to comments here. Oh, I like your hat, by the way. Thank you, Nevea. Tyrone, what's the best truck stop, if you know what I mean? Because I've been driving for 14 years. If you've been driving for 14 years and you don't know what the best truck stop is, then you're probably not paying attention. Bull of the Woods, good morning, Snorelord OG. It's coffee 30, baby. Yep, there you go. I'm lucky to be here for sure. Dying Breed, thank you very much. The question should be, how many live streams are there right now? That's another great question. Cobra Flatbed, I'm asking in your opinion. In my opinion, I like the truck stops that have a large amounts of parking, and that they're clean, and it varies. So, I mean, I prefer the mom and pops, really, to be honest with you, because the chains just have too many issues. But, you know, everyone knows it's Loves of West Memphis, LOL. So safe and clean and secure. Actually, the best truck stops are casinos, because it's well lit, well secured, and if you're into the soda, like the sugar water addiction, you get free drinks while you walk around the floor of the casino machines, the money taking machines. Tyrone, like the ones with the best cat. None of them. If you're looking at truck stops for that, you're looking in the wrong places. So let's take care of this here. There we go. Take care of that. T-Bone, what's up? Good morning. And I used to think it was Boise Stage Stop near Boise, but Mr. Gas and Jerome is way better, cleaner, and has 150 spots. And we'll get rid of this dude. So, anyways, but it is a beautiful morning, and I appreciate everybody for choosing me out of 14 million people, whether you wanted to be here or not. Brian, what are you doing? Come here, Brian. Quit chasing the squirrels. We have a cat. It's a stray. We haven't let him in the house yet, although he's tried. The wife and kid have been feeding him. I've probably fed him a time or two. So he's hanging out back here. So let's talk about the election, shall we? I know you guys are all sick of hearing it. You guys are anxieties through the roof because, here's how I'm looking at it. I'm more afraid of the lack of results than the results. And Ryan, what are you doing, dude? Come here. You're gonna fall in that bucket of water. I'm gonna laugh at you. We have these rain buckets, and the cat is drinking from it, and there's also goldfish in there. So he's probably like, you just acquired a new lab pup? Isn't, when you go to shelters, it's always lab, like lab mix, lab shepherd mix. Like no one knows how to identify a dog, it seems like. That seems to be the biggest stray puppies is lab mix. I eat at Boise Stage every time I go through. Max Force, a fear cheating. Yes. That is a valid fear. Because here's the thing, if people don't believe that the results are worth anything, then people won't partake in elections in the future. If they think that their vote doesn't matter, which is probably the design of that, then what's the point, right? So, I've only been through Boise once, so I don't know the truck stop you guys are talking about. Yes, enjoy the old time atmosphere. Yes, I remember there was an old school truck stop in, I want to say it was a Westigo in Abilene there. That place was kind of cool. It reminded me of when I was a kid riding with my dad. Hey, come here. Oh, you got a big gash on your leg, dude. Come here. Yeah. Come here. Come here, dude. Here, this is Brian. That's Brian. You getting a fight with the raccoons there, dude? It's 10 west of Boise. Can't miss it. There's a nice truck stop in Montana called Town Pump Travel Plaza. It's like being in a small grocery store. I've been there, Flatbed. That place was cool. When I did the 12, 15 stop delivery in Montana, half the deliveries were at truck stops. They just backed their cargo truck to my truck, and that was nice because I'm delivering, but yet I'm in the truck stop getting food. Shannon, good morning. But anyways, speaking of trucking, there's a lot of people I'm reading on Facebook. A lot of truck drivers are going to be staying home for the next week. So I think that if you're out running, like let's say you did early voting and you're out running, I think that you could probably take advantage of some decent rates. And I think that's why yesterday they were driving rates down pretty good because they know they're going to get in the shorts this coming week. So if you're running the spot market, you're probably going to get some good rates next week. That's just my prediction. Unless there's so much instability that you don't want to run, which again, that'll create more rates. So just watch the big cities. Just watch the reactions of people, not the results. And that's what you gotta. That's why you gotta, head on a swivel. Have at least some pepper spray on you, or bear spray, or whatever. Don't use wasp spray. That was like, an old trucker's trick is you can have wasp spray, and that will deter any thievery or violence. And here's the thing. Wasp spray, you're putting yourself at risk for something extremely bad. And on the can of wasp spray, you know what it says? It is a felony to use this and beyond your intents. Beyond, if the intentions are not, like if you're purposely spraying it in people's faces, that's a felony. Right? And so you might as well just have bear spray because that's meant for self-defense. Just yell out real loud, I'm in fear for my life, and then shh, and then you're good to go, right? Midwest Mike got decent rates the last 3 weeks. I've done okay. I did $23,000 from Saturday to Friday this past week of freight that I moved, as far as the trucks I was dispatching. So there's that. Now, one of them was a pretty big multi-stop load that's not on the spot market, but still, the other trucks did okay. I got a good old lead launcher, works great too, right? Yeah, that's. Look, you need something between a harsh word and a firearm. You know, that's what ASP always says. And so the bear spray works. Look, if you're outside walking your dog and this big, untrained dog that was bred for fighting comes up to you and starts attacking your dog, yeah, you could shoot it, but then you got to worry about where all the stray bullets are going because, I doubt a lot of us are a good enough shot. So, but the bear spray works. The pepper spray works, and that's great. That's a great deterrent. Gives you enough time to get away. And the law considers animals private property. So, and then also if you're in the city limits, there are laws against that too. My buddy told me yesterday that Spot is paying $3 to haul out of the cold storages in Tri-Cities, Washington, and surrounding area to points east. I was seeing a little bit of that. I think I went over it, what was it, Monday, when I was testing my laptop in midday or whatever. I did not go live yesterday. Yesterday was a tough day. Yesterday was brutal as far as I had 3 empty trucks at once. And so I had to, get them out. And one of them I was waiting on word on his next load, so I didn't want to book him yet. The other one, I'm not booking ahead with at all because there's a reason for that. And then the other one, he got empty earlier than I anticipated. So so I went by who was empty first and who's empty first and who's the least pickiest gets first dibs. Because I can book something and go, whereas if someone's really picky, I have to narrow it down, and they usually get put last on the list because there's less options to choose from. So I got a spray bottle full of hot sauce for self-defense. It was cheap, and I would think it would work maybe. It's better than... It's really amazing watching these police videos that go wrong, where they, 90% of the time, the taser's not working. It doesn't phase. And I think pepper spray in the face will always phase. And I don't know why they don't go to that first for non-lethal measurements. Now, I'm not a police officer. I've never been trained in that. But I would think that would be the first line of defense. Now, if it's windy or whatever, I'm sure there's some dangers there. But, I watched one this morning where these cops use these phasers, and the criminal was able to get the tasers away from one of them and started tasing 2 cops. And of course, he got shot. And then, six lead impressions later, the guy was dead. So I booked $72.50 this week. Best 7 days I've had in a while. Good deal. Hopefully it's ghost pepper hot sauce, right? I tased myself last night by accident. Well, that's funny. Speaking of accidents, so I guess the Dodgers won the World Series. Is that correct? So, in perfect human nature form, the people were so happy about their team winning that they went out in the streets and they started looting and rioting and vandalizing. And one particular person had a very large firework device and proceeded to blow his hands off. There's footage of it. And Look, I like sports. I like watching a good game. I don't hardly watch baseball because you know there's many reasons for that. But football I watch, NFL I watch. But I've never been so fanatical about a team that I would be that intense about somebody winning or losing. Like, like there was a Detroit Lions game, 2 or 3 weeks ago where people got shot because they got in an argument over the game, right? And and this dude's gonna have a reminder every single time he picks up something, every time he goes to the doctor, every time he looks down in his hands, he's gonna remember. And on his deathbed, he's gonna look like, why did I do that? That was so insignificant. And do you think the Dodgers are gonna pay for his recovery? No. Um, you think the Dodgers are gonna pay for all the stuff that was vandalized and burned and looted? No. These teams don't care about you. You're a cash cow. They want you to buy merch, cheer for them, and then get on with yourself. Right? And why do we loot when we're mad, loot and protest, and loot when we're happy? Well, because you have people taking advantage of the situation. Hey, there's a great mob of people in this place. Let's take advantage of that. Like the peaceful, protests that we had a few years ago. You know, there were a few that were peaceful. I remember there was an aerial view of LA, and there was one BLM protest that was going okay, and there was another BLM protest that had the fireworks and the violence and the looting, and they had aerial footage of the differences. There was smoke around one, and the other one was just sitting there. And that's what happens when you got mob rules. You got people, you got that mob mentality. It's easy to get caught up in those kind of things. And you got to be careful of that. It's easy to get lost in that energy. But to die or to severely injure yourself or somebody else over the results of a game, I have great sympathy for these people. People are like, oh, well, he deserved it. That was a dumbass move. Blah, blah. No, I'm not that guy. Because I've done stupid things, and luckily I was not in a position where it created permanent damage so far that I know of, right? But I don't understand the looting other than people taking advantage of the situation. I don't, I understand having the victory parade, for, we won the Super Bowl, da 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 da. Um, but I I don't know that's a part of that's a part of human nature that I'm trying to learn to understand where that comes from, because that's how the Mao revolution worked. That's how the communist revolutions work. Is they went with mob mentality and get caught up in the moment, and next thing you know, you're not in control. That's demonic, right? I do not want to be at a football game wearing the opposing jersey, surrounded by 40, 50,000 people that may or may not be able to control their emotions if the game doesn't go their way. To me, that's not a smart environment to be in. Yeah, as BLM was busted into town here with some Antifas. They got out hundreds of concealed carry citizens and stood across the street to make sure the intent went peaceful. And I saw that during the Michael Brown Ferguson riots as well. There were people that, like, you know what, we've had enough. And they opened, Missouri's an open carry state. So, they're like, hey, look, We have ARs. Don't touch the store, you know? Yeah, the protest lasted less than 30 minutes. Yeah? So, it's, and that's what I mean about the whole political environment we're in right now is, is will people be able to control their emotions if things don't go their direction? Shannon, that's perfect. Shannon has said the most perfect thing you can say in this live feed. Other than I am dumb. That one guy saying I'm dumb. They are godless, lost people full of carbs and sugar. It's clear. Well, it's not just that too. It's the way we've been raised. Like for example, I was watching Tim Cass and he talked about there was a section they were talking about cartoons, right? Look at kids' cartoons, and if you're not a parent, you probably don't recognize this. But look at like children's shows from like Mr. Rogers, where he spoke clear and concise to the children, not down the children. Right? And he taught morals. He taught you how to be clean. He taught you how to get dressed. He taught you, you know, right decisions to make in a moral dilemma. And then 20 years later, we have Teletubbies, which is these kids that you can't tell what they are. You can't tell what their, you know, what their gender is or what their body, I mean, and they're all pudgy, right? And they're babbling. And they're just kind of happily going through the landscape, you know, dealing with their drama. They're babbling like idiots. That turned into, and then Booba was even worse. Booba makes Teletubbies look like, you know, a day at the library, right? And so there's a certain mentality that's been ingrained through dopamine hits, through the sugar, through the video games, through the constant, you know, need to be stimulated. And that that is what's going to bring this country down. You have to take an empire, let it collapse within itself by ruining the foundation. And right now we have a lot of people whose lives are built on foundations of sand, and therefore they will collapse at the first bit of stress. Like I saw it, like the same Tim Cass video was talking about Rosie O'Donnell, like talk about how she has to take pills because of her anxiety because she thinks Trump's going to win. And I'm like, imagine living in a state of fear where you think that one person has that much control over your life. That's not healthy. I don't care who you are. That's not healthy. So just something to keep in mind. What's up, Doc? Josh the Vegan. Yeah, I mean, Bugs Bunny. I mean, those cartoons they were funny, but they also kind of like gave you a false sense of we can do stupid things and live through it. Like, you know, blasting guns in people's faces or, you know, jumping off a cliff or falling off a cliff. And, you know, you get up looking like an accordion for a minute and then it resets, you know. Just like video games. Oh, you get 20. If you do this Mario Brothers hack, you get 100 lives. And so you can die as many times as you want. Well, real life's not like that. And you always see these reports of influencers taking selfies in bad places and dying over it because they're on some cliff edge or they're on some tower or they're climbing some building they shouldn't have been climbing because they have this mentality that, oh, I can live forever, and you don't, right? SpongeBob for president. And a lot of cartoons are like kind of meant for adults, but kids just watch them, and SpongeBob is one of those. Now, I do recognize that there's a cartoon called Bluey. In the bits that I've seen, there's the father on there. He's kind of like a common sense dude, right? And that's kind of refreshing. But still, you know, it's part of our downfall, I think, is some of the entertainment factors that we have that starts when we're kids. You know, I went to, no, I won't get into the Halloween thing, but you know, but let's just say I have many observations about Halloween that go beyond the demonic aspect that Halloween can present. I think it's more about cheap dopamine thrills than anything else, right? Well, I say cheap. There were a couple of skeletons that weren't even full size that were like $60 at Spirit Halloween. And none of the animatronics worked. None of them. Not one. And I thought that was sad. So, my kids love Bluey. Yeah, my son's in the Bluey. And we don't have any grandkids, and I don't know if we ever will. But I do know that some of the cartoons that were, I noticed a difference in the cartoons from what my oldest daughter watched, she's 32, to what my kids were watching at the same age, which they are now 19 and 22, right? Yeah. No, 20 and I can't keep track of their age. So, or 21, 19 and 21. Yeah. And so I can't even imagine what the kid shows look like now. You can't take everything at face value. So, how old are your kids, Josh? I think you told me once, but I forgot. And I saw a thing about, you know, people are quick to call Christians brainwashed. And what's interesting is that my wife and I had this big discussion about this morning. We have some really good morning talks. And but it's the other way around. I think people are brainwashed to hate and go against Christian values. And it's easy to do so because of the bad Christians out there, right? It's like, oh, look at this bad Christian being perfect. Well, yeah, the Bible warns you about people like that. The Bible warns you about false shepherds, right? So, but here's the thing. We live in a world where you're being told that Lucky Charms are healthier than steak, right? And people believe that. You stop eating processed food and people think you're the weirdo. And if I go into, like, I used to hang out with some potheads back in my band days, and they would always be like, well, you're weird for not partaking in what we're doing. But yet they're all like, don't let the man brainwash you. Right? And we live in a world where we think it's okay to give diabetics sugar in a hospital, but yet I'm the problem because I eat primarily meat. If that's not brainwashing, I don't know what is, right? 3, 5, 12, and 14. So you got the whole spectrum there. Red Lady, good morning. All the kids shows these days seem like they're pushing an agenda. Everything's pushing an agenda. Everything is pushing an agenda. Everything. The agenda could be for the left. The agenda could be for the right. The agenda could be for just making money off of your emotions, off of those things. So you want to, if you can sell fear and then sell that person a camera system or a firearm, boom, you made money. If you want to sell people fear of guns, get them to contribute to your Your anti-gun campaign, well, it's easy to raise money for that because you can use fear as a motivator. Oh, look how bad the crime is, and it's all because of the gun. So donate $100 to me so I can talk about it in Congress. And security systems and fear, like that's a motivator. That's what sells. And so that's the bottom line. That's what the agenda is. Giving, instead of telling kids that they shouldn't eat candy, the government would rather give them Ozempic and hope for the best and know that they're going to be a lifelong customer because they're not changing what they're eating. That's the agenda, is to keep you hooked to whatever activity or chemical you're freebasing on. It could be video games, it could be bad food, it could be, sports fanaticism, it could be any of these things. Think about, I'm always amazed when I watch a Chiefs game and they have an aerial view of the Chiefs stadium, and 90% of that is red, right? 90% is the color red. So that's people wearing Kansas City Chiefs game. Now, if you're a fan, that's fine, right? I know that Pigtail's a big fan, and I had fun hanging out with him watching the Super Bowl. But think about the money aspect of that. You have 50 to 60,000 people, and 90% of them are wearing some kind of Kansas City merch in one form or another. And so let's say the cheapest thing is like $10. Think about how much money that is. And we all know that NFL merch goes way beyond $10, right? $10 might get you a hat on sale, right? So if we do $20, that's a lot of money. Just represented by one gathering, right? And that's the intent. Sports are entertainment. And that's why, when a lot of the NFL players were joining in on this BLM stuff and not standing up for the flag and all that stuff, well, Dallas Cowboy, he was like, dude, if any of our players are doing that, we will kick them off the team immediately. And because you're entertainment, you're not here to make a political statement. And I think a lot of entertainers forget that. Like all these people, I'm going to move out if Trump becomes president. Okay, that has nothing to do with my life. If Rosie O'Donnell moves to England or moves to Spain or wherever the hell, that has no significance in my life. So you have to look at the narcissism. There are people out there that actually think that saying, hey, if this happens, you're going to regret it because I'm going to leave. If that isn't full-blown narcissism, I don't know what is, right? And so what causes that narcissism? Isolation, ideolatry, being constantly bombarded of how good of a person you are and how cool you are and how awesome everything you touch is great. That creates narcissism. The old adage, you sell your soul to become rich and famous. That's where that comes from, because you have constant people wanting your attention and love, and they're idolizing you. And in reality, they're idolizing the wrong things. They're idolizing the wrong person. And so narcissism is developed. Ego is developed out of that. If I had 50,000 people watching my live feed, it would be hard for me to go, huh. It would be hard for me not to be like, wow, 50,000 people, are hanging on every single word I'm saying. And there are some live streams that are actually like that. I've got 16 people in here, and I'm pretty content with what I have. So I have lost the hope that I'll ever monetize this channel, and the other channel's kind of slipping a little bit, but that's all self-induced. So depopulation is the main goal of the technological revolution we have seen in the last 30 years. It takes It only takes one generation to change the path of mankind, says Sterling. And that's what we're seeing. The keychain, LOL, yeah, that's $10, right? I always ask myself, says Sterling, one or two things. Is this a scam or a scheme? That's a good question. That's how I look at it. Um, people sell things on the fear of missing out, or they sell things on the fear of no control. Like, like weather app. Our local news station has a weather app. Stay protected, stay informed during tornado weather by downloading our app. You can't control the weather. Yeah, you can, like, okay, I'll know like 5 seconds before everybody else that I need to get in my bathroom or in my basement. And that could save your life. But what are the odds of that? You know? It's a free app, so I'll download it. Well, it's all the other stuff that they make the money from, right? Question. Sterling. That is a statement, not a question. But I'll give you time to type it out. So 90% of a lot of this uneasy feeling that people are having about this election is all induced by social media. And the other 10% is what you're seeing in front of you. Hey, has the homeless population gone up in the last 4 years? Yeah, it's practically exploded. Has the fentanyl problem exploded in your area? You're probably seeing that. I don't care if you live in small podunk town or a major metropolitan area. You see differences in the quality of life, the quality of your food, the quality of your lifestyle, right? Yeah, 2 weeks ago here, it was near 80. Now it's cold and 35. Ugh. Yeah, it's chilly here. What's the temperature right now? I'm wearing a hoodie, so that should tell you guys something. It is... Right now it's 56 with a feels like of 53. So... Everyone wants you to download an app for their crap. I hear, yeah, I mean, I refuse. Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of it's time wasting. Like, I got rid of Netflix because I'm trying to tighten my wallet a little bit. But at the same time, it was just too mad. It was too negative of an influence on me. It was a big time waster. I could spend that extra 2 hours watching Netflix. I could have spent that cleaning up something around the house, or working on something that needs maintenance, or working on my guitar, or reading. I've gotten back into reading, but I've noticed that my attention span's not as good. So I've been struggling with that. I bought all these books, and they're literally sitting in stacks on the queue. And then I've also, I don't go through audiobooks like I used to because I'm not driving. And don't even ask me about my watch later list on both my YouTube accounts. And it's kind of like you go to a buffet and you're starving, right? And you're like, oh, this looks good, and this looks good, and this looks good. So you start fearing that you're not going to be able to eat that or eat that or eat that because you've already filled your plate up. And next thing you know, you've sampled everything, and it's hard for you to keep track of what you're eating when you do that. But that's kind of what YouTube is for me. I have like 20 notifications at any given moment, and then oh, this looks good, so I'll watch a minute of this, and this looks good, I'll watch a minute of this, and the next thing you know, all my watch later, there's like, I've only done like 5 or 10 minutes of these 30-minute videos, and it'll take forever to get to them, plus the audiobooks, plus the reading. I thought, you know what, maybe spending $20 a month on Netflix, who keeps increasing their price, probably isn't a good idea. Everybody wants you to subscribe to their content, good, right or left. Who is this pirate? Unknown. I want you to do a Google search for backhoe butchery. I am a pirate. and that'll explain everything. Everything. They're only reporting deaths as suspicious in my area instead of saying the truth, which is what their OD deaths. Well, just like we saw during COVID, no one raised the fact that people are dying of people that died of COVID died of the other health issues that they had that COVID, like, in other words, no one else was like, it, like if I see a person with a mask on at the store and they're in the wheelchair, the electric wheel cart or whatever, and they've got nothing but Dr. Pepper and Twinkies and bags of chips with maybe a pre-made frozen hamburger, and they're wearing a mask, it's like they've missed the point completely. Like completely, like 100%, you are not looking at the right things for your health. And speaking of not reporting deaths, I've had a driver go through North Carolina, and he said you could smell it in the air, the death, and they're only reporting that only like 100 people have died or something like that, and it's like way bad. And then Madrid, Spain just had a bunch of catastrophic flooding. There's a drummer I follow called El Stefario, and his home was ravaged, and he had footage of, like, it looked like a tsunami going through the neighborhoods. It was crazy, and no one's reporting about it. Why? Because there's nothing to sell there, and there's nothing to sell on the North Carolina stuff, you know, other than people trying to take advantage of donations, you know, that aren't legitimately going to the places that are trying to do some good help down there. We get our Netflix through our cell carrier. Supposedly it's free on them. I heard the Amish are helping with rebuilding homes. Very noble. Yeah. Look, the Amish have figured a few things out. So, you know, there's that. It was 89 in Houston this week, 50-ish in St. Louis, and 30 at home. I've dealt with that, Mike. There was a run that I picked up in Springfield. It was like 50s. My first stop was in Waco. Or no, my first stop was in Amarillo. And it was like wind chill of 10. It was super, super cold. And then literally at the end, you know, after I delivered in Amarillo, I drove down to Waco. I believe it was a one-day drive, and I literally had to turn my AC on in the truck. I carried a full year's worth of clothes in my truck at all times. I never got rid of my jackets. I never took them out of the truck. I had both long pants and shorts on at all times in that truck. And the only thing I brought back and forth to the house, to the truck, was, you know, socks, underwear, clothes that I would use that needed to be washed. But I'm sure you've seen it, but 26 is open again if you got any drivers going that way. Yeah, I saw that. Have a good day. Time for the dogs to walk me around the neighborhood. All right, TJ. Thanks for coming in. We're at, what, 48 minutes? We're only going to do an hour, so. But, so my biggest concern over the election is just the results and how people are going to handle them, whether it goes one way or the other. Honestly, I think that we're screwed either way. And that's not disparaging what Trump's trying to do. That is the fact that they will fight him tooth and nail. If he gets in office, they will fight him tooth and nail, just like they did last time. And he won't be able to accomplish anything. It's kind of like you go into a house to clean it, and as you're actively cleaning each corner of the house, there's somebody behind you, to, you know, messing it up, you know, on purpose to keep you cleaning. And that's what that is going to look like. And if Harris gets in, well, we're going to be seeing more of the same of what we're seeing now, just probably at an accelerated rate as well. So, and so I'm just kind of just staying to myself and not getting any political arguments, and it's funny. I'm seeing some people that I thought were liberal, you know, telling the internet that they're voting a different way. So that's kind Like, I think people's common sense is starting to kick in right now. And then, guys, please, please, please watch the Joe Rogan interview with Callie and Casey Means. Please, please, please. It will enlighten you on the political climate of when it comes to our health. And that's the problem. Oh, that's why my wife feels she's cleaning the house, right? Yeah, well, probably. Cheap freight, probably. So. Anyways, thanks for joining me on my Saturday morning rant. Slash observation slash whatever. I'm not trying to sell you anything. You know, hit a thumbs up and comment and all that stuff. Do that. Give me some watch time for this channel, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I've got a decent monument if I die tomorrow for people to watch and see. And hear, you know, I've got music out there, so. But don't be fooled by people tugging at your emotions. Do not be fooled by people wanting to manipulate you through your emotions. You don't want to bury your emotions, but you definitely want to control your emotions. Strength for today, for tomorrow. Peace. Maybe.